At the end of September, I was diagnosed with a pretty rare tumor growing on my carotid artery. I was told that I would need 2 surgeries in order to remove this tumor. The first surgery would be to cut off the blood flow to the tumor, and then the second surgery would be to remove the tumor from my carotid artery. I was given about 2 weeks between the time of diagnosis and the time that I was checking into the hospital for my first surgery. And those 2 weeks seemed grueling at the time, but in hindsight, obviously that was probably the easiest part of this process. My husband Brad and I just really focused on what we knew to be true. We looked at scripture and said scripture to each other that was talking about God being good no matter what happened, that God is always faithful, and that God is truly all we need. The surgery went pretty much without complication, and then the next day, Thursday, was time for my second surgery. As they brought me down to the surgery floor, I was in a lot of pain and had just said goodbye to my husband and was pretty uncertain of what life would look like when I woke up from this surgery. As they wheeled me into the operating room, it was a very, very lonely feeling. And as I was in a lot of pain, having just said goodbye to my husband, I just remember crying out to God and saying, God, I know you're here because you live inside of me, but I don't feel you. When I woke up from surgery, I very quickly realized that I could move both sides of my body and I could smile. I was in a lot of pain, but it was only minor nerve damage. And so we already had so much to be thankful for that God had chosen to bring us through at this point. So I ended up spending 3 nights in ICU, and then I was released to come home. And a couple days after being home, I became pretty sick again, and I was diagnosed with pneumonia. So this was a pretty discouraging point. I felt pretty low, and again, the fear kind of seemed to overtake me as I knew that there were some complications that could arise after this kind of surgery, and seeing one of these complications come up led me to start worrying about the things that could happen. That night as I was at home and I was doing a breathing treatment, trying to get my lungs to fill up with oxygen, I was crying out to God and I was just asking Him to be near. Immediately, God's peace just surrounded me like a heavy blanket, and He spoke to my heart and said, I'm here. Just lean into me. I see you, and I know you. I know your hurt. I know your pain. I know your fear, and I love you anyways. As I've walked through this difficult and uncertain time, God has been teaching me how much He truly loves me. There's a depth to this love that I haven't known before. That no matter what happens, no matter how I fail, no matter what I'm walking through, God's love never changes. There's nothing I can do or not do that will change His love for me. And as we're going through uncertain times, we can know that God's love is always with us and it will never change.